All right, let's take a look at the strategy design pattern. This is a behavioral design pattern that allows us to select an algorithm. So if we have a family of related algorithms, then this design pattern, the strategy design pattern, allows us to select one of these related algorithm at runtime. So we're going to take a look at this behavioral design pattern, looking at the example of two strategies, one for applying a payment method. So we have a set of payment methods, each of which has a specific logic to apply this payment method. So applying a debit card, Visa, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay is different than the others. So we're gonna look at this example and then the example of receipts, right? So generating receipts in PDF, print, or email. So in this lab, we're going to look at a real example on how to send an email and how to generate a PDF in Java. This is just an application to the strategy design pattern. So we need JDK 15 or above. We're going to use 17 for this example. We also need a free account on resend.com. This is an email service. So please sign in using your GitHub account. This is an email service that will provide us with an SMTP server that we can use to send out an email, right? This is really helpful to generate an API key to use for sending out emails for testing. This is easier than setting up your own SMTP service. So it just makes it very easy to send out emails within your application. So just we're going to come back to this and copy the API key. So I'm going to leave it for now. So we're going to also use a PDF box to generate PDF in Java. So we're done with creating an account and resend. We're also going to store the API key in environment variables, right? This is important because we don't want to store any secrets like passwords in our source code, right? So let's take a look at the problem statement. So we've got a developer working on an app that receives or accepts a payment and generate a receipt. So payments at multiple payment methods, receipts, multiple methods to generate a receipt, paper, PDF, email, right? So at runtime, we want to select one of these methods, right? So strategies on how to or process payment or generate a receipt, right? We're going to be implementing these two strategies using the strategy design pattern. We're gonna get an email sent to us using this resend service, right? This is what the email will look like. So let's just get ahead and go ahead and implement this. So I'm gonna click on the GitHub Classroom link and accept the assignment. So reload the page and then click on the repo. This is the private clone for me to work on. So I'm gonna copy the URL and then I'm going to clone it. Right, so let's go there and then I'm gonna open this in IntelliJ IDEA. Let me grab the window for IDEA and let's take a look at the pom.xml file. So as you can see, JDK 17. So make sure that you're selecting this when you run your application. You can do this in IDEA by going to File and then Project Structure, and then be sure to select the correct Java JDK version, right? So 17 for this. And we can take a look at the dependencies. So we've got JUnit for testing, and we also got resend. This is the SMTP service that we will be using to send out an email. And we also got PDF, Apache PDF box for generating PDF files in Java, right? So let's take a look at the source code. So let's reload our dependencies. So download all of the jar files that we need for this project. Let me just zoom this, and let's go to the payment strategy and the receipt strategy. All right, so we have two strategies. Let's take a look at the payment. So we've got an interface payment and just void pay that takes a double amount. Right, so this is what a payment would look like as the specification. Here we have a credit card payment, so that's one concrete implementation. It takes a constructor and then it takes information for credit cards and then toString method. We also have another concrete implementation, PayPal payment. Two concrete implementations, they need to implement this payment interface. All right, so let's just go ahead and implement payment. So we add implements payment, and let's implement the method pay. All right, I like to move this up just after the constructor, and obviously here you need to write the logic. So I'm just going to print out a statement that says I don't know, amount and was processed on a credit card, right? So obviously when you implement this in a real world scenario, you're going to use a service, I don't know, Stripe or any other service to process payment. You're supposed to write some logic here to process payments, right? This is only for demonstration purposes. We're not going to touch money or any kind of transactions. So let's go to the, so this is the credit card payment. We initialize all the credit card informations, and we have a toString method that returns the details of the payment. All right, so this is looking good. Let's go to the PayPal payment. So let's implement that interface. So implements payment, and we need to override that pay method. All right, so let's just move this up, and obviously here you need to call PayPal SDK to process the payment if you are building a real world application. All right, so you will write some PayPal logic for payment here, and we're just gonna print out a statement that says amount was processed PayPal. All right, so right now this will take just an email and merchant name, and then it will initialize transaction ID and the date of the transaction, and then print out toString to print out the details for that PayPal payment. All right, so these are two strategies. We're done with these two strategies, implementing the credit card and the PayPal's for payment strategy. Let's go to the receipt strategy. So here we have a class for receipt, takes an ID, a list of products, and a date of that generating the receipt, and takes a constructor, initialize those, and just some getter and setter. All right, so you can see here generate is not implemented, so we need to change this class. So let's take a look at the concrete implementation. So we have email receipt, we have PDF receipt, and we have print receipt. So three concrete implementation of the receipt strategy. So I need to change this to an abstract class. Again, it's abstract, not interface. because we have some details, right? So an ID, list of products, and the like. So let's change this last method, generate, to an abstract method. So we need to extend that abstract class receipt, and we need to add our own constructor, so because that one needs a list of products, so we need to take list of products. Remember, you can't generate an object of type receipt because it's an abstract class. So the concrete implementation, the children need to supply that to the abstract class, right? So I'm just gonna put those string subject and recipient, and then I'm gonna add the list of products, right? So we have a class called product, so we're gonna create list of products that you're gonna pay for, so that way you can get the pricing details, totals, and the like. So let's call the super and passing the products, and initialize the subject and the recipient. Right, and we don't need to override the generate. This is already overridden for us. So generate, it's already implemented in this concrete implementation, the email receipt. So we're gonna call an email template. This is the email template. This is just an HTML template that will be displayed in the email, right? So you see we're using string literals, multiple lines of strings. This was introduced in Java 15. That's why I said you need Java 15 and above, right? If you try this in Java 8, it will not work. All right, so this is just an HTML code for the email body that you will see in the email message for sending out an email with resend. All right, so then we call this get the template, and then we send it. And again, this is the send email class, has a static method called send, and that will call delegate the task of sending an email to the resend API, right? So you can see here that we're using environment variables. Come back to this when we are going to run the program. All right, so we've implemented this. So now this is again, these are the two environment variables that I mentioned. So we need to set those, email and API key. Email is the from, all right, the sender. So we need to specify that in environment variables, right? So come back to that later. So let's go to the PDF receipt and extend that receipt, and then implement the constructor. So public be PDF receipt, and we need to take the subject and the path. Right, the path is on the file system where you want to save that PDF file. Right, so you have to give me an absolute path to the PDF file that will be generated. And then we take list of products, so we can pass it to the abstract class receipt. So pass it with super, and then assign the subject to a subject, and then the path to the given path, right? And the generate method is already implemented for us, and again, this will generate PDF. So go through the list of products, showing the details of each one, and then the total. That is the PDF receipt implementation, and again, this will generate PDF file. All right, so we're done with two implementation. Let's go to the third and last one, that is the print. So print receipt will extend the receipt, and we add our own constructor. This will print the receipt to the console, so we only need the subject, and we're gonna pass or take the list of products, so we can pass it to the receipt abstract class. So super products, and then list of subject equal subject. right? And then the generate is already implemented for us. This will print things nicely on the console. All right. So it looks like we're done with the strategy. So we need to go back to the send email class, and we need to set these two environment variables, right? This is important because we don't want to hard code these sensitive secrets, right? So we don't want to put this in our code. If you have already signed into, so this is what the email will look like. If you have signed up with resend.com, we're going to put the secrets in environment variables, right? So let me go this and now copy this API key. This is the secret. Again, you shouldn't be putting it into your code because you don't want to check this into GitHub and then people can find it and then they use the API on your behalf. All right. So this is really bad. We should store this in the environments, and then at runtime, your application will get these things, right? So how to do this? You go to the run configuration, and then you click on edit configuration, and then create a new one, select application, give it a name. So I'm going to say lab 10 strategy, and then select the main class. All right, so be sure to select Java 17. And now let's add these environment variables, right? So we need to declare this using whatever we declared in our source code. So we used API K, capital E for key. So API key, and then I pasted the value, and then we need to put a semicolon and then supply the next value. So the next value in this case is the email. So if I go to the documentation on how to use resend, so I select Java, and it looks like the way to send an email is to copy this from. So this is the sender address, not the recipient. This is the from address. I'm going to copy this and then put it as a value for my environment variable key, email. Right, so email equals, and then I'm going to put it here and put my name and then save it. Right, so at runtime we'll be accessing these environment variables instead of hard coding them. So let's run this guy. Before we run it, let's take a look. We have shopping cart. So we have a package shopping cart that takes a list of products. So product is basically a very simple class, SKU and details of the product, and then a shopping cart will maintain a list of that products. We add things to the product list, we remove things, we calculate the total price, and then look at this strategy method, pay. Pay will take a payment. Payment is the type of the interface, and then at runtime we'll get the total, and then we will apply the pay method. Right, so you just give me the interface, the specification. The payment can be credit card, PayPal, and then we apply it at runtime. Right, that is really how you use this strategy design pattern. Right, so you just take the interface, and then the concrete implementation will be supplied at runtime. So we've got a shopping cart, 2 products, add them to the shopping cart, and then we're just going to print out information, and then we will be calculating the total, and then we'll ask the user to select a payment method, so debit card or credit card or PayPal. If they select credit card, we create a credit card payment option, and then if they select PayPal, we create a PayPal option, and then we pass it to the pay of the shopping cart method, and then that will apply that payment. So it's called payment pay of the concrete class. All right. So that's how you select the payment. And next is the receipt strategy. So receipt, similarly, we're going to ask them to select receipt method email. If they select email, create an email object of type receipt. And again, we're using receipt, the object based on by the abstract class type receipt. So we create PDF receipt here, and we create a print receipt if they select 3, right? Otherwise, I'm going to show them an error message. And then here we simulate some network latency, just to get a sense that this is taking some time. So we'll sleep for 500 milliseconds, 10 times, and then displaying just dots just to simulate network latency, right? Because payment takes time, right? So let's run this guy now, and we are being asked to select payment method. Let's say credit card, and now I'm gonna type my email address. So be sure to type the one that you use to sign in your GitHub account, because that's what Resend has. It'll take some time now to send, because you can't send to another email address, right? It has to be the same one because it's free, you're not paying. This will reduce spam, so people cannot misuse this service. All right, so it looks like we got the email. Let me just open my email client, and yay, we got that email. Right, so this is what the email looks like, and we got a logo, and we got the email HTML in a table, right? Very cool. So that means the email strategy is working. So we received the receipt in our mailbox, and now we can try the print. So I'm gonna select 2. I'm gonna supply the path, so I'm gonna run the command pwd and then copy the path. So you have to type the path or just copy the path to the file when you want to save it. So I'm just gonna copy this, paste it, and then give it receipt.pdf. Right? So this is where I want to save the PDF file that will be generated. It has to be a path on your file system. Right, so it looks like it worked. We got 0, that means it worked. Let's open it here, since that's the folder that I selected, and yeah, we got not as nice as the email, but yeah, it's a PDF. All right, so let's print. So select print, and print is also working. So that seems to be working. So let's go to the test, run the test before we push to GitHub. So run all the lab tests, and we got all the green check marks. Let's just double check and run it on Maven, because that's what will run on GitHub when you push your code. So always good idea to run on Maven test cycle, and it looks like we got 7 passed, no failure whatsoever. Great. So now we're ready to push to GitHub. So let me go to my terminal and status. I don't need that PDF in my GitHub repo, so I'm gonna delete it. And now I can just check the status and then push to GitHub. All right, so let's commit this, add those files and commit, and now we push. Right, so we pushed. Let me go to GitHub and check for the auto grading. So click on this action and print, spit out this information. Start running. Yay, we got 100 out of 100. Right, so that's how you implement the strategy design pattern. Right, so thank you.